I just wanted to thank everybody for taking time out of their busy schedules to come join us this morning. I also want to give a big shout out. We've got, I think, over 2,000 people who have tuned in to watch via the live stream. And I've already gotten a couple tweets in from people saying that they had pizza parties and they were getting together their talent acquisition and their HR and recruiting teams or their PR and corp comm teams to watch. So thank you for joining us on the live stream. Fantastic speakers this morning. I'm sitting there listening and I'm going, okay, this is fantastic to hear these kinds of strategies, but what if you don't have the recruitment marketing or the content marketing background of a HubSpot? What if you don't have the brand awareness of an Expedia? And what if you don't have pairs of Google Glass and an entire video production team like Genentech, right, to create your own story through film? So what I'd like to do today in my session is just talk a little bit about Glassdoor, how you can get involved as an employer if you're not currently involved in the conversation on Glassdoor, even if you don't have any budget. And for those of you who are clients, share a couple of new features that recently came out and some that are coming in the future that we're really excited to talk about. So what you might not know is Glassdoor is actually the fastest growing site right now in the recruiting space. We have only been around since 2007, which is a lot shorter than some of the other logos that you see up there. But we are growing like gangbusters, frankly. And Josh Burson from Burson by Deloitte in September actually said that he was talking to many different employers, and so many of them were now telling him that they were seeing more traffic to their Glassdoor company page than they were their own career site. And those numbers on the left and the growth chart that I show on the right, really the question as to, well, why? Why is Glassdoor growing so quickly? What's the big deal? The reality is I think a lot of it has to do with trust of today's candidates and today's job seekers. Corporate Executive Board, CEB, did a survey about 6 months ago. And what they found was that 61%, almost 2/3 of candidates today, said that they are more skeptical of employer messages and what they read from employers than they were 3 years ago. And that figure rose to 65% when it came to those in the millennial generation. What this is telling us is when today's candidates, job seekers today, are going on your career site, when they are looking at your job recs, and they're looking at the job description, when they're talking with your recruiters and your hiring managers, they are more skeptical of what is being written and what is being said by your company than they were 3 years ago. What that means is that today's candidates are smart enough to recognize that those conversations with recruiters and the words and the videos and everything else, no matter how transparent and how authentic you try and be as a company, they recognize that those messages and those words still have rose-colored glasses on them, right? Regardless of the company size or if you've got the videos or what your brand awareness is, they are skeptical. What today's candidates want is, in a perfect world, to know someone at the company that they're considering and be able to ask them, Joe, tell me what it's really like to work at company XYZ. Give me the best thing and give me the worst thing about it. And then today's candidates would rather than make the decision themselves based on the information they gather, right? So Glassdoor, we've got over 7.5 million, nearly 8 million pieces of content posted on over 340,000 companies in over 190 countries. So Glassdoor is where candidates are going today to get that information and make decisions. So Software Advice is another research group that did a study completely independent to Glassdoor. We didn't find out until the day after actually it was published. But this time last year, in January of 2014, they did a survey of nearly 2,000 job seekers. And what they found was that 48% of them, nearly half, said that they used Glassdoor at some point in their search. I suspect, too, since that was 12 months ago and we're growing so quickly, that if they did the same report today, I think that 48% would be significantly higher. But the reason why job seekers are using Glassdoor is because really Glassdoor is hitting candidates at every single stage in their journey, right? When they're becoming aware of a company or they hear, oh, Genentech, like, oh, let me, right? And they're going and they're looking up and they're researching a company. When they are considering and they've got potentially a couple different options or a couple different regions or even industries that they might be looking into. They're going to Glassdoor to look those things up. They're taking a look at salary reports. They're looking at interview experiences. They're going to Glassdoor when they've got two different offers in front of them and they're looking to negotiate or they're looking to make a final decision based on maybe what the rating of the company is, the CEO rating, maybe even the business outlook of the company posted by current and former employees. And then they're going to Glassdoor even after they've been hired to share their interview experience, to maybe post a photo after they've been hired, and even share their experience maybe as a new hire or someone that's been there for a couple months. So the reality is Glassdoor is hitting these candidates at every single stage, which is, again, why we're seeing this traffic grow so quickly. So who's on Glassdoor? What's the makeup? We've got 27 million members worldwide. It's a pretty even split of female and male. When it comes to years of experience, when it comes to education, we really cross the spectrum, which means that we can help employers of all different sizes across all different industries really hire for everything from, part-time, retail, seasonal workers to blue-collar to white-collar and sort of everything in between. We talked a little bit about this morning. Many people ask questions about the content review process. Steve Burton talked about how we have this multi-tiered review process that ensures that we have human eyes and technology that are involved in essentially trying to make Glassdoor a constructive place to get opinions from people about companies. We work today with over 2,000 employers across all different industries and sizes. This is just a couple of them right now. And what we're finding is that employers are telling us when they are promoting their employer brand on Glassdoor, when they're advertising their jobs to the candidates who are on Glassdoor, and really targeting certain groups, sometimes with things like display advertising, what they're finding is that they are getting applicants that are significantly higher quality, as determined by things like apt-to-hire ratios. They are able to hire people at a faster time to fill, which is always something that's important for those in talent acquisition. And they're just kind of driving their overall awareness as an employer of choice or with their employer brand across the board, thanks to Glassdoor. Some of the results that we see, for example, Cisco, they reported that they actually hired over 24 key hires, and I think it was about 9 months under their target cost per hire. We had TRW Automotive that saw a 50% decrease in a time to hire, and when you're hiring hundreds, even thousands of positions, raise your hand if you have more than 100 open recs right now. So you can imagine that if you are decreasing your time to fill for those 100 recs, even by 25%, right, that it's going to have a significant impact on your talent pipeline, and that's the kind of results that employers are reporting in working with Glassdoor. So how we help companies is really, unlike some of the more traditional job boards that might be out there, we don't have 200 different SKUs, and we're not charging companies to, bold their job description or get their job showing up in certain places. Everything that we do at Glassdoor is basically tailored and targeted to meet the needs of the job seeker. And I'll talk about how our job advertising works in a second. But the three kind of core products that we offer to help companies brand, influence, and hire is display advertising, so targeted display ads, and I'll talk about that in a second. An enhanced profile, so the opportunity for a company to really tell their story on Glassdoor to the candidates that are researching them. And then we've got also targeted job advertising in both a sort of CPC or PPC format, or we're even doing now this year job slots, which a lot of companies are really excited about as well. What I want to do too is take you through an actual process that a job seeker or a candidate would go through today, and I think that's most important, but just highlighting the three core products that we offer. This enhanced profile, it's really the opportunity, again, to tell your story as a company. What we're seeing right now is, companies are telling us that they're seeing as much as 3 times, even as much as 30 times the traffic to your company page on Glassdoor than you are on potentially something like LinkedIn, or even, as Josh Burson had mentioned, on your career site. When you have a free employer account, I'll talk about it in a second, you will have access to see for free, no budget required, you'll have the opportunity to take a look at what your brand awareness is on Glassdoor, how many people are actually researching you on Glassdoor, and you'll have the opportunity to respond to reviews, make basic edits to your profile, and even access, print, and share some really powerful analytics, and that's, again, just with a free employer account. But an enhanced profile really enables you to tell your story. You're able to integrate social media. You're able to share great videos like we just saw from Tracy and Genentech. You're able to, most importantly, promote all of your jobs directly from your ATS that's going to come into a feed that's going to be targeted directly to the user that's looking at that page. So based on their profile, if I am a job seeker and I'm a director of product management and I am searching around on Glassdoor and I'm researching and I'm looking at salaries and photos and interview experiences, what's going to happen is all of a sudden Glassdoor is going to start to recognize through my behavior on the site what I'm interested in. It's going to recognize that I'm clicking on certain jobs that are in the field of product management. It's going to recognize that I'm looking at jobs that are within San Francisco or Palo Alto or Mountain View. And all of a sudden, the jobs are going to start to kind of be targeted directly to me as a user. That's part of the reason why employers are telling us that the applicants that they're getting from Glassdoor are as much as, twice the applicant quality than some of the other, traditional job boards that are out there. It's because the jobs are uniquely tailored to me as a user as I navigate through the site on Glassdoor. And then also because I'm doing research on Glassdoor that I can't do anywhere else, I end up being highly selective to the jobs that I apply to. And that leads to a significantly, probably lower quantity of resumes, but a significantly higher quality. And I don't know about any of you, but Sunday morning with my coffee, I'd rather not be going through resumes, especially those that are completely unqualified. I get a baker that's applying for a marketing position. Raise your hand if that has happened to you before. Right, it's probably the same person from Craigslist. So we've got our enhanced profile. It's really the opportunity, again, to kind of tell your story. We've got job advertising. And again, as I mentioned, we not only, if you are interested in sort of a CPC or a PPC or a kind of by budget basis for advertising your jobs, we can do that. We also have job slots. So if you have a fixed budget, you have X number of positions that you need to hire for, we also will position it like that. Again, what we're trying to do is create solutions and also pricing packages that can meet the needs of any company, any size, any industry. But the job advertising, again, the key piece as to why it's really unique is because those job advertisements are uniquely tailored to those that are logged in, and because they're doing so much research on Glassdoor that they're not doing on traditional job boards, the jobs that are showing up are uniquely tailored to those users, and that's, again, leading to higher applicant quality on the back end. And then we've got targeted display ads. So raise your hand, diversity and inclusion, if you feel like you're hearing about it all the time. Anybody in the room? Is there anyone specific to diversity and inclusion initiatives for recruiting? Okay, so what we're finding is that, the kind of 5 things in there, if you do want to segment out a specific audience or a specific population, you're able to put together custom display ad campaigns towards diversity and inclusion initiatives, towards graduates and millennials, awards announcements. If you were a best place to work, it's a fantastic way for you to sort of promote that, and these ads will show up throughout the site, again, tailored to the people who are logged in the Glassdoor experience. Also seasonal hiring or even event promotion. So to share sort of a success story, VMware, local company, they had some unique challenges, I'm winking, but they needed to fill key engineering positions in a highly competitive market, the Bay Area. They needed to reach candidates with a targeted approach, and they also needed to boost their brand awareness, because in such a competitive market that is the software and tech industry here in the Bay Area, they needed to stand out. Raise your hand if you have any of those challenges. Yes, a couple, except for, I think I see one person who, they're fine. So what we were able to do with VMware, some of the results, just as an example, we were able to deliver them 20 mid-level hires or above. They cited Glassdoor as a top 5 influencer of candidates, and they were able to see a 65% increase in traffic to their Glassdoor company page year over year, which is pretty fantastic. So if I were going back to that example of a director of product management, and I am on Glassdoor, I might find Glassdoor by putting in VMware salaries, or director of product management salaries, or I might say working at VMware. And that might bring me to Glassdoor. Again, with the rise in job seekers now already knowing about Glassdoor and going to Glassdoor at the beginning of their search, they might probably go to Glassdoor if they're actively looking or thinking about a new position. They'll go to the job search page, and what they're going to find is they're going to do their normal search just like they would do on a sort of traditional job board. What will come up is the list of jobs that might match their requirements. And what happens is when they click on, if I were to click on, there's the VMware job. If I clicked on that, I would be taken not to a registration page, not to a login page, not to a third-party site. I'd be taken directly to VMware's career page, right to the job that I just clicked on. And that's important, right? Because when it comes to drop-off in that applicant funnel, if you have the captive attention of a potential candidate, you want to make sure that you're not losing them through the process of applying. So when I'm on Glassdoor, I'm this director of product management, I see, oh, VMware, I click on it, I'm brought directly to VMware's career site. If I was back on that page and I said, you know what, I want to learn a little bit more about VMware, what's really valuable is that alongside the job listing, and again, this is why we've got candidates that are going to Glassdoor, they're getting this information they can't get anywhere else. They basically see a little bit of a sneak preview, a window, if you will, into life at VMware. They're able to see a couple of photos, they're able to take a look at where they're located, a little bit of sort of why work for them, awards, and I'm intrigued, right? And I go, I'd like to learn a little bit more. When I click on that, I'm brought directly to VMware's enhanced company profile. The difference between this and a company that may be listed up there but doesn't have an enhanced profile is things like there's no competitor advertising on here. The jobs that are posted on VMware's company profile page, because they have an enhanced profile, are directly from VMware's career site. And we don't have other competing companies advertising jobs on this page when I am already interested in VMware. The last thing VMware wants is for me as a director of product management to see relevant jobs from other nearby companies and go, oh, I didn't know Apple was hiring, and then all of a sudden you've lost me, right? So when a company has an enhanced profile, they're able to kind of lock in that real estate, make sure that the only story that's being told there is why VMware is an employer of choice. Some things I'm going to talk about briefly is, you've got competitor targeting, which I'm going to talk about, that's new, and coming soon we've got company updates. Got really fantastic information this morning, and we know that kind of a smart employer branding strategy really has to do with content and this two-way conversation with candidates. Now Glassdoor is giving companies the opportunity to push out those updates. So this is one of the new things, competitor profile targeting. Super exciting. So again, instead of sort of nickeling and diming, I'm not sure if that's a active verb or not, but instead of nickeling and diming our employers, what we've done is we're giving them added features and benefits at no additional cost. One of the things that we just rolled out was competitor profile targeting. So this is a great example. Is there anyone in the room from Coca-Cola? Okay, whew. So what I'm showing up here is Coca-Cola's Glassdoor profile. You can see that they're not a current customer of ours because the jobs on the right-hand side, it's a little bit blurry. I didn't want to completely expose them. But on the right, you'll see jobs that are uniquely tailored to me. When I was logged in and I took this screenshot, they're not from Coca-Cola. You can see in the top right that there's display advertising from other companies. It's lacking any social media integration. There's no video. There's no why work for us. And the key thing here is Coca-Cola is not a current customer of ours. They don't own the real estate of their profile on Glassdoor, despite getting thousands and thousands of views from candidates every month. Instead, at the bottom, what we have is Pepsi, who is a current client of ours. is advertising directly on their profile at no additional cost. So what's happening now is current customers of our people are going like this. Everyone's looking for that competitive edge, and we recognize that that's important. So what we're doing is we're giving our current clients the opportunity to select up to 5 companies and directly advertise on those company pages, provided they are not a current customer of Glassdoor. So those early adopters and those people that want to get in front of something before everyone else is on board, now's the time, because we're really, really kind of pushing the pendulum in your direction so that it benefits you. So we're really excited about that. Coming soon, we've got company updates. It's currently in beta. We know, as I said, how important that two-way conversation is with candidates. What we're finding in this beta program, Groupon was a great example. What we found from our beta testers like Groupon was candidates are actually going to Glassdoor. They might be going to, we talked about LinkedIn and, fantastic place now to digest content, and people are going there as a publishing platform, and I go to LinkedIn to get information on the industry. I don't go there to research companies or search for jobs because I'm very happy at Glassdoor. But what we're finding is that the people that are on Glassdoor, they're looking specifically for content that is related to the company, the jobs that are open, the culture, the benefits, the perks, versus the other sites that are out there. People are sort of looking for everything. So what we're finding is in some of these early studies, the engagement, the follows, the shares that are happening in this beta program with company updates on Glassdoor, we're seeing incredibly high levels of engagement because the candidates that are taking a look at these updates, that they're following these companies on Glassdoor, these are really the companies that they have their eye on. So they're very, very interested in the communication that's coming directly from those companies. So that's coming soon, very exciting, and that's going to be available to our current clients. And then the last thing that I wanted to sort of touch on is, we've got some really, really powerful reports that are available to anyone that has a free employer account. The point is we're trying to get employers engaged in the conversation. Those of you that are in this room understand the value of transparency and authenticity, or else you wouldn't be here, or you would have left earlier and made it look like you were going to the bathroom. So the fact that you're still here says that you're in front of everything. But some of the reports that we offer, this is an example. This is a completely free report. As long as you are a representative of your company, you can go online or talk to anybody outside today or talk to myself. You basically say that you are a representative of your company. You will then have access to basic reports like this that can show you potentially what your brand awareness looks like in terms of the number of page views and traffic that you're getting to your Glassdoor profile right now. Those that are clients of ours are able to take a look at how their traffic stacks up against other competitors like this report that I'm showing right here. So you can actually take a look at some of the things that you're doing as a department and potentially see the impact that it's having on your brand. You can even see it, again, if you're a client, in comparison to other talent competitors. And this is the kind of information and the kind of reporting that employers are telling us they can't get anywhere else. So then you also are able to take a look at who are those people. So who are these people that are actively researching us on Glassdoor? You can take a look at demographic information like education and gender, age, experience. You can take a look at the other companies that the candidates who've been researching you are also researching on Glassdoor. And this is always a really interesting insight for most employers. They might be surprised that 2 or 3 companies are showing up on the list that aren't even in their industry or might not even be in their region that people are considering. You can take a look at top job titles and locations as well. Review and interview trends. So, the companies that are at the forefront are using data from Glassdoor to help inform their interview and their hiring practices. They are taking reports like the one on the left, looking at their ratings and reviews and their interview trends over time, and they're sharing that information with their departments and even sharing it with their executive team. And we also are hearing employers sharing this kind of information with their board members as well. They're able to track things like employee sentiment. So on the right, you'll see current clients get an opportunity to take a look at what are employees and former employees saying? What are the pros? What are the cons? And I know companies that are looking at reports like this on a monthly basis and taking a look at what words have changed to see if they can actually measure the impact of some of their initiatives. You're able to look at reputation scorecards. So on the left, you can take a look at an example company, and I kind of blocked out one of them, but you can take a look at the example companies and you can see directly how do we stack up not only in overall rating, but CEO rating, work-life balance, salary and compensation, what's the percentage of people that would recommend this company to a friend, and you're able to actually choose and change on the fly which companies you're looking at on your scorecard. And what I think is really important is you're able to automate this process, and you're also able to share it with your coworkers. So you can set alerts in Glassdoor to say, send me a digest every day, send it on the fly, send it once a week, and let me know what content has been posted to my company page. You also have the opportunity to download this kind of information, share it, and you're even able to put in other people on your team to give them access to the Employer Center as well. So again, we're trying to make this easy. We've got a ton of really powerful reports and analytics that are available to anyone who is a representative of their company that has a free employer account. And for those clients, either that have an enhanced profile or advertising their jobs with us, the sort of opportunities that they have to measure and track the impact of their brand compared to their talent competitors, again, second to none. This is the information that people say they can't get anywhere else, and it's why Glassdoor is at the top of many employers' lists. There's additional resources that are available online. Everyone in the audience, here's where I feel like Oprah, everyone in the audience is going to get a copy of Employer Branding for Dummies. Woo! I got some woos. That was exciting. So outside, everyone's going to get a copy of Employer Branding for Dummies. It recently won an award for one of the best pieces of content in the industry that were published in 2014, so we're really proud of that. Lars Schmidt did the foreword. He is currently the founder of Amplify Talent. He was previously the head of talent acquisition and branding at NPR, and then did work with SpaceX and some other companies. So we've got plenty of resources. If you go to employers.glassdoor.com, you'll also find everything from, webinars on demand and free ebooks and guides. We're really trying to create a portal that employers can use as a place for thought leadership, because I love that word. So I would encourage you to go there. Also, our Glassdoor Employer Branding Summit is happening again. Raise your hand if you had heard of that last year. So we had an event. It was called the Glassdoor Employer Branding Summit. It was the inaugural event. It was here in San Francisco in September. We ended up, it was an invite-only affair, but we also live streamed it. We had over 6,000 people watch the live stream from over 64 different countries, so it was a huge success. We had speakers like Josh Burson and people from Zappos and Deloitte and CEB and AT&T. We're doing it again this year. It's going to be on September 25th. It's going to be at the Omni Hotel. And lucky for everyone in this room and for those watching the live stream, we're actually opening up registration next week. And this year, it is open to anyone who would like to attend. We're keeping it incredibly small so that we can have a tight, intimate discussion about employer branding best practices and the impact on employee engagement and recruitment. We also are going to be live streaming it again, but would encourage all of you to keep looking on employers.glassdoor.com, go to events, you'll see Glassdoor Summit. You can take a look at the content and the videos from last year and also get information on this year's event that's going to be September 25th here in San Francisco. And with that, I am actually going to wrap, and I'm going to ask that the previous speakers come up, and we're going to see if there's any remaining questions. So thanks very much. If you have questions about Glassdoor, feel free to see me after.
All right. Okay, so if Tracy, Katie, Joel, if you guys want to just kind of join Allison up there, you can use the mic. I'll run around here, but we have our first question. Who are you asking your question to, sir?
This is a question for Steve and for Allison. I'm curious if you're doing any work or have any insights around engagement. If you're doing any work with Burson, Deloitte, Great Place to Work, Modern Survey, anything to think about how you're capturing engagement on your site?
Yeah, it's a great question. What we're finding right now, we're fairly busy, which is a good thing. The majority of the work that's being done is being done sort of outside of Glassdoor. We do have Burson by Deloitte, who has reached out to us and has pulled our data to do a number of different reports. Brandon Hall Research Group recently put out a report around the value of an employer brand and the impact that it has on employee engagement. There's a ton of stories that I could share from employers that are telling us about how employer brand is impacting their recruitment efforts and now their employee engagement efforts, really how it starts with transparency and a two-way conversation with candidates, and that sort of leads the end result to a highly engaged workforce. But we haven't done any studies of the data on our site. We're just finding that now more and more we've got analysts, academics, research groups that are coming to us and letting us know that they've done their own research independently. Does that answer your question? Thank you. Yeah, no problem.
Another question?
Hi, this question's for Tracy and for anyone else that has launched a new recruitment brand. I'm just curious, what were the KPIs that you used to measure impact of your new brand?
So actually, that's a great question. Genentech is, let's see, hasn't historically been driven by this formal KPI sort of way of measuring, but because this was such a departure from what we've done in the past, we're actually going to start with a survey. So we started with a baseline, and we did that sort of with some teasers that we had done with the campaign over the holidays, and now we have a survey that lives on our career site. And so that's one way we're going to start to measure. We're probably going to also do a different iteration of that for our internal candidate, or I'm sorry, our internal employee population. To be quite honest with you, when we did the earlier survey over the holidays, we didn't get a lot of response until we socialized it. So once we put it out there, which is a little bit vulnerable, but then we started yielding higher responses. So that's what we're doing right now. And then we're going to go back to our HR leadership team about mid-year and sort of report back and kind of take it from there. I mean, I think we talked about this earlier as well. It's kind of an ongoing process, but we just want to get an idea of how it's impacting and where we can maybe make some tweaks.
Any other questions? All right, work my way up there.
What would each of you say is the #1 most important factor for top performers when they're looking for a new job?
Who wants to answer?
So my answer is not going to be surprising, but it's culture. So from our perspective, not surprisingly, we, like VMware, to Alison's point, face the challenge of attracting best-in-class engineers, sort of first and foremost. And the way in which we compete, obviously engineers have their choice of jobs. They're certainly not looking for employment. And so from our perspective, the way we compete is not with compensation. It's entirely based on culture. So as I mentioned, we do a lot of proactive work to try and draw those folks in, but then we also try and look for areas of leverage in every aspect of our business. So for example, at job fairs or hackathons and that sort of thing, we don't take the traditional sponsor route. Instead, we try to find ways that we can actually have personal conversations about what inspires engineers and what's meaningful to them, because we believe that's much more in line with kind of what they're looking for from an employment brand perspective. So I think there's the playbook that everyone else follows, and we try to be a little bit different and stand out from the pack. And I think when it comes to attracting top performers, specifically engineering talent, being really protective of your employment brand and trying to identify ways that don't sort of fall in the traditional path has been #1 for us.
I'm going to pop in here. Some statistics. From our recent member survey, again, we've got 27 million members. We surveyed those job seekers and those candidates who are members of Glassdoor, and we asked them, what are the top 5 pieces of information that you, job seekers, want employers to provide when you research where you're going to work next? And here are the 5. Everybody ready? 1, details on what makes the company an attractive place to work. So this is where the sort of why work for us messaging needs to come into play. 2 is details on compensation packages, right? So salary, comp, still important, but it's not necessarily the be-all and end-all. 3 is details on the benefits packages. On Glassdoor, we now have the opportunity for employees to rate the benefits of their company similarly. representatives of companies can now go on and make basic edits to their profile, which includes sharing a little bit more about their benefits so people can search for it, so that's important. 4, company mission, vision, and values. And then 5 is just basic company information in terms of location, employee size, that sort of thing. That is all. Yeah.
If I were to add, it's definitely, I mean, it's going to be the same answer. It's going to be culture differentiates you from other people trying to attract top talent. My one addition to that would be tap into the passion of your people. And if in the travel space, if you're trying to reach out and get a top-end engineer who also has a passion for seeing the world, who might have been born thousands of miles away and have since had this amazing journey across the globe and landed in Seattle or Bellevue or the Bay Area, tapping into that gives you something more to bite into with your teeth. If it's just going to be a numbers and numbers, competition between one employer and another, the Bay Area is just like Seattle and Bellevue. It's extraordinarily competitive, and you don't want to go that way. Forgetting the cost of it from a financial standpoint, it's just you're going to attract the wrong candidate. Tap into their passion. Whether it's travel, saving lives. I mean, these are the things that you wake up early for at 4 o'clock in the morning, 5 o'clock in the morning, and you work late at night for, not necessarily your paycheck. And that's been really rewarding as we try and attract adventurous people to Expedia.
Yeah. I'll add one more thing, and that would be, while we are a science-driven company, we're also trying to think about looking at folks for the potential that they've got, right? So this is kind of, I think, a very progressive way of thinking about your candidates. We had a team last year called the Future of Work, and so we're thinking about 10, 15 years out. And in time, it's highly likely that a contingent workforce will outnumber sort of regular full-time employees, because people want to go to work where they're inspired. They want to be on projects that are very exciting, and then they might want to move off of those and go somewhere else. And so we're trying to start thinking about how we can start hiring for breadth of experience and not necessarily always for deep technical experience. Again, it depends on the role. So where we're having some challenges now is just trying to figure out how do you assess that accurately. But it's quite interesting, so I would say hiring for potential is something else.
All right, question over here. That was very moving, by the way.
I guess this would mostly be a question for Allison. I work at a very small company. Globally, we're about 110 people, maybe. And I think that our Glassdoor presence could definitely use some work. And I want to encourage my fellow coworkers to contribute to that page. However, how do you make people at such a small company feel safe and comfortable enough to leave a very honest, maybe even negative review about a company when you're saying, oh, I work in the Chicago office, there are only 8 of you. I mean, it's pretty, someone's gonna kind of figure out that it might be you, and that might affect the way that someone interacts with you or your potential for growth at the company. How do you get people over that fear?
Yeah, that's a fantastic question. So a couple things. I think from an encouragement perspective, I don't think you can fake a transparent and authentic workplace. So if a company is fairly closed and all of a sudden they are trying to get employees to share information, or they're trying to get them to post positive reviews, or people are going to sniff that out, right? So I think first it starts with being authentic, and because your employees, just like job seekers and candidates, they're going to know if you really do embrace it. Some of the best practices from employers that they've shared with us is, we've got many of the resources on our website. If you go to employers.glassdoor.com, there's actually an entire section around how to engage your employees in the conversation. We've got ebooks, we've got a guide, we've got email templates. Basically, what you want to say is, we care, right? We care about what you think. And Glassdoor, we believe, is a fantastic place for you to share anonymous feedback with us and potentially help someone else who's potentially looking at our company join our family. We would love to have you share your feedback, right, in this forum, And also look for us to respond to some of your reviews. That's, again, something that's completely free for employers to participate in. They can respond to reviews. When it comes to the anonymity piece and what if it's a smaller company, although you could share a lot of information when you are submitting a review or a piece of content on Glassdoor, like your actual location, like your job title, you don't have to. We're trying to protect the anonymity and create this really constructive, forum. So people could just share the company that they work for, leave a review, and nothing else. If they want to, again, get really detailed in terms of the location and their job title, they could. But typically, if you have 110 employees, the more content you get contributed, the more probably a well-rounded 360-degree view of your company is going to be on Glassdoor. So the more you can encourage people, let them know that this is completely anonymous, and let them know the reason why you're asking them to submit feedback is because you care, right? Because that really should be the kind of underlying story. I think even for small companies, this is a great place for you to be able to gather feedback, respond, and sort of showcase that transparency that employees and candidates want. Does that answer your question? Yep.
All right, let's take maybe one more question, and then we're going to hang out for a couple minutes at the end if you guys want to talk one-on-one. Any last questions? Question? You all just want your dummies books that bad? We have our author, Alicia Garibaldi, in the room as well. She'd probably be happy to sign your copy. All right, thanks everybody. Thanks so much. We'll let you go. We'll hang out. Thanks so much for joining us today. We really appreciate it. Please fill out your surveys in return for your swag.